someone or something working behind the scenes, guiding while hiding, providing an illusion of no collusion, maintaining plausible deniability should the nudge had been made in the wrong direction. While Neil and Bob are packing fudge in the broom closet, you, orphan trained bred working class with an all gone ass because it has been worked off, start questioning the status quo. Way to go. Getting started on the narrow road. This, for now, is our abode. I'm Alan, Salt Paco, not the apple of God's eye, but highly favored. Welcome, everybody, to the Mud Flood Was Armageddon channel. The Mud Flood was Armageddon. Don't let them tell you anything else unless they are willing to debate Victoria in a fair and honest way. And that means no fisticuffs. Hey, Victoria, I kind of threw you in there on the introduction. Good to see you. Let's get this going. You can tell it's going to be good. At least I hope you think that. It's like, oh, I think it's going to be good. There's a fair use disclaimer in case I have time to get to any of these things. Not much to look at here. I use this as the thumbnail. It's so deceiving, isn't it? It's the same size. Those bars are the same size. It's an illusion. That's crazy. I went the wrong way. Here, look, there's a more deceptive. Oh my goodness. What? Things can just be made to look crazy. Hey, look, I had to save this because Barry Goldwater, Lyndon Johnson, the whole JFK thing. Lyndon Johnson appointed the first female judge, some appointment. Her name was Sue Hughes. Crazy, right? That's my last name. And then later on, when they made abortion legal, this, hey, you know, in your guts, he's nuts, ran for president as a Republican, a Jewish guy. He was the only Republican to, well, that Roe versus Wade, that abortion thing, that judge was appointed by Johnson, his LBJ, Sue Hughes. Goldwater said, yep, I'm casting the deciding vote. It's legal to get that abortion thing going. The surveillance capitalism is a logic in action. Surveillance capitalism? It doesn't even sound like it would be like the next three words would be in context. Is a logic in action and not a technology is a vital point because surveillance capitalists, whoever they are, want us to think that their practices are inevitable expressions of the technologies, the surveillance capitalism. The logic is okay. Anybody have an idea? It's grab your behavioral modification, put it in a Trojan horse inside everybody's head. It starts with a globe. If Google is a search company, why is it investing in smart home devices, wearables, and self-driving cars? If Facebook is a social network that makes some money from advertising. Why is it developing drones and augmented reality? I just want to pass on this question because I was thinking, like, that's a good question. When she became a he began to find men attractive and gradually identified as a homosexual man because it was a girl to start with. Did you catch that? When she became a he began to find men, she began to find men attractive and wanted to have a, just having my baby. What a lovely way. Wait a minute, that was a song that was just popular at a brief instant in time. However, somebody's main policy idea is that the government should engage in cognitive infiltration of the groups that produce conspiracy theories, which involves a mix of numbers 3, 4, and 5, like the famous triangle, 3, 4, 5 triangle. It's always going to be a 45 in the down there on that bottom left or right, whatever corner it's usually on the left. It's like find the X and don't point at the X or looking for the divergence. No, not the divergent, the variable. So where is this from? I don't know. Conspiracy might ban theorizing. Government might impose some kind of tax or financial otherwise tax those that are going to be saying the conspiracy theories. Government might engage in counter speech, marshaling arguments to discredit conspiracy theories. Number 4, government might formally hire credible private parties to engage in counter speech. Show me the curve. And somebody would say, everybody knows there's a curve, so you're stupid. That's counter speech. 5, government might engage in informal communications with such parties, encouraging them to help. That's like number 4. However, the authors advocate that each instrument has a distinctive set of potential effects or costs or benefits, which will have a place under imaginable conditions. And if it becomes unimaginable, well, try recruiting non-government officials to kill them, cook them and eat them, boil them in adrenochrome. Huh. Well, this one kind of tones it down, right? So it's Stellium 7 put out just a short video, and he did mention, the Lichtenberg effect, the fractals. Got it. Something's on his mind. I don't know. He's back in the dealio. So there's that. Hola. Say hello. Yep. Unfortunately, Salty agrees. Rubble. Dusters dropping some Latin there. I'm pretty sure that's what's going on. So let's get to these tabs. You heard me mention some things in it. I just want to go over some other things first. Here's the people that want to kill you because they've been nudged in a direction of you're to blame. They have a government. Did you know other nations have been formed since Satan's been loosed? China's one of the big ones, one of the players. This is a sign that it was on a roadside in a rural town because China's big. It is forbidden to discriminate against, abuse, or abandon baby girls. For a prosperous, powerful nation and a happy family, please practice family planning or they'll kill you. wow, it almost looks like a white family in America, but it's from China in the 70s. This propaganda painting in the Guangdong promotes the idea of a nuclear family with a single child. The text reads, planned childbirth is everyone's responsibility. They hate your guts. You kept them in a century of shame because our government in England forced them to buy drugs for their precious silver. Recently, recently, it could be Tartaria. We don't even know. What else was going on? Oh man, what? Please, Paco, tell me no. No, I'm not going to tell you no. I'm just going to show you. You think everything's coinciding? They're ready to go. They got it worked out. This was their everything's fine now. For some reason, their government found it expeditious to nudge gently without too many killings and enforcement. It's just like you get one baby. This is what we're doing now because we hate those people who made us from the power of Tartaria to what we are today. Look at that. Somebody went around and wrote this in as of 2005 and just saying, hey, look, your town still owes taxes on some public affairs bulletin board, so you owe 25,000 in social compensation fees. This little village with their primitive type announcement bulletin board, and they only have raised 11,500. That's not even half. These people in this rural town, if they want the benefits of a social you know what? This isn't even what the show's about. This is just about they hate you. And these are the people now that are like putting in the back doors in they're buddying up with Russia, who's really, I don't think they're your big friends either. Wah, wah. I want to talk about Brave New World some with Aldous Huxley wrote that book. Though the other science fiction writers at the time just basically said he plagiarized it. It was ridiculous. It was a feely type in the film, fictional form of entertainment that appears in the 1932 dystopian science fiction novel Brave New World. The feelies were a type of film in which the viewer is able to feel all the sensations felt by the hero through the use of advanced technologies such as a scent, organ pneumatics, and electrical field. It's for pornography. Wow, they saw that one coming. Anyway, savages were living outside the city while they were inside the city with the Bureau of Propaganda and everything. Now, have you ever read that book? I mean, it is not that good, but it has a pretty good hook about because he plagiarized from all the other things about alpha, beta, gammas. They're all, anyway, they're in a theater and they're showing the heroes blowing up a life raft because the white trash was still survived. And as the bomb was closing in, they showed a mom holding the baby. And one of the women in the crowd said, not the baby, because they knew they killed the stuntman. And somebody came and got her. And the guy was watching this and he said, oh, she shouldn't have said that out loud because if you didn't agree that that was okay, you got killed too. And I'm just saying, they nudge us. I don't have to remind many of you of Edvard Bernays and how they can. He was hired by Woodrow Wilson and got reelected, saying, I kept you out of the war. They hired Edvard Bernays, and within 6 months, the United States said, you know what? We got to go help those people in World War I. We've been out long enough. What kind of man doesn't want to go fight for mommy, die and kill a commie? So, Brave New World, dystopian, fictional universe, pornography. That's their thing. They got a plan. They work to it. They want cognitive pedagogy, essentially useful for disabled people, accepting people the way they are. Humans inherit only faculties and dispositions. This is like believing in Darwinism and paleontology, where they rub your head and say, we got a smart one here. This one can see. He's white. Full life requires participation. Segregation is unfulfilling. What? There's a bunch of things they have figured out. I just chose one. I don't even know what adventure learning is. Distance education since the 1990s. They got it all figured out. I'm sure some liberal people that, like, yeah, we all got to, yeah, the kids need Arctic dog sledding, then they'll be fulfilled students. Okay, sure. Lie to children. Well, yeah. Hey, let's put a globe in every classroom in the world. That sounds interesting. We'll take care as we evolve their mind, teaching by countries. Remember, I only had one day to prepare after yesterday's massive reveal of what is going on. Teachers, those who can't do, teach. Have you ever heard that one? Now we got the homeschooling. Boy, I was involved in that for a big percentage of my life. Everybody wants to be literate. Everybody has their different opinion about the art, religion. Some people believe that it's only one way. That's kind of what I believe. Look at that, a teacher in a Latin school, two students. Okay. Okay, so what? I like to play chess sometimes. So the Second Great Awakening, we went over that. Protestants, our our world, the late 1700s. They're talking about, George Washington, everything we are doing, and plus I'm just it's popping in my mind back when all the political people shaved all the time. Like we're supposed to believe it was so easy, just get a razor sharp thing every day, like you do with your Bic or Schick, Gillette, Remington. Had revivals everywhere. They can nudge you in the right direction anyway, but we covered this yesterday, and now I got this going on. It's like, okay, I am going to go look up what is the Overton window. I've heard about it, but I didn't know what it was. But now I have an idea that it is the range of subjects and arguments politically acceptable to the mainstream population at a given time. I know. Can we trust Wikipedia? I've heard that Wikipedia is a liar. It's like Wikipedia lying scumbag, man. Don't you trust Wikipedia? I don't. This sounds kind of like what Overton. I don't even know who Overton is. James Overton, maybe. Wrong again. It was Joe Overton. He did it. That looks like a computer generated movie star from the 1990s. We should elect him as senator. He was just white enough. So in the 1990s, described a spectrum from more free to less free with regard to governmental. And here's your two choices. There is no freedom. You can be more free or less free than you are right now. Like on a vertical, to avoid comparison with the left right political, let's put it on a vertical axis. Here to go. See, we're going to run it up and down. At the top, unthinkable, unthinkable. In the middle, popular policy, popular. So you're somewhere in here, and I guess it slides could be unthinkably popular. So we got look at all these things. They got you figured out. They've got you figured out. They know that you want to stay in your comfort zone because you're human, and they haven't figured out. That's what Freud with his id, ego, super ego, and everything else. It's all about what Carl Rogerian would like to ask you. How does that make you feel? You're the center of attention here. Let's do it. Let's keep doing it. Let's roll because I could go through control freak, OCPD. Hey, everybody's got psychosocial issues. They've guaranteed it. We're in a purity spiral, whatever that is. Groupthink would figure it out. Well, everybody likes to do this one. I said, was that satirically or sarcastically? Both. Anyway, this is all from the very famous normalization. I thought that the conscious effort that Wikipedia's AI must have puked out when it decided it should start with these two sentences. Normalization refers to social processes through which ideas and actions come to be seen as normal and become taken for granted or natural in everyday life. There are different behavioral attitudes that humans accept as normal, such as grief for a loved one's suffering or death, avoiding danger, and not participating in cannibalism. Wow, okay. What bestiality wasn't available for a common reference, or you couldn't just put in like gambling or going in debt. I mean, it had to jump to cannibalism. And then, okay, so they got a social structure that can break down. One thing I guess they want people to remind you of is that you loving, loving little thing playing cards every day in your old age, within 8 days, you might want to start eating people. That's what they've got you programmed to believe because they got the statistics and they got the Bible that talks about people going like, oh my goodness, we've been under siege and we're out of food. Let's eat your kid today and we'll eat mine tomorrow. Watch out. That's usually a scam from what I read in the Bible. Don't trust it. Those people that do that, well, in the Bible, they were prostitutes. So it's not even a good crowd. I mean, unless you're into that kind of thing. Normalization process theory is the middle range theory used mainly. Do you think that we're a medical sociology? That's what they're using? Because I feel like they've the whole world has gone through this normalization. We'd have to have gone through a normalization to get from every eye will behold him to we're on a globe with spinning ball water. Yay. Maybe we are a medical sociology. And science technology studies to provide a framework for understanding the social process by which new ways of thinking. Like a lot of people used to think abortion is like murder, and now they think it's a constitutionally protected right. It has nothing to do with Moloch or Baal worship. And that all of that, scaring people to get them to make adrenochrome, which is oxidized adrenaline, I think, so we can eat their blood and eat them. That's just overrated. That's just a part of what we do. I mean, they do. I'm not into that at all. Yuck. So I mean, how do we even know about that? Look, here's some other things we could have looked at. Like, I'm thinking, like, rape culture. What? This is more like something I'd be comfortable. I'm not into rape culture at all. I don't even want to talk about it. Passing is the ability of a person to be regarded as a member of somebody else, race, ethnicity, caste, social class, sexual orientation, gender, religion. I am passing for a different religion. Ooh, wow. That's so risky. So it may lead to depression or self-loathing. Okay, I'm gonna think about that. I'm not trying to pass. They use it as an academic framework. It used to be that people that were, because we had the one drop rule, and if you had one drop of black blood in you, you couldn't be shit in America. So some people pass if they looked right, they go like, yeah, because they didn't have a lot of that DNA blood testing stuff. The DNA blood testing stuff. If you're looking for a more medical term, I got them. I just didn't want to think of it right now because I was lighting up a cigarette. Passing is mostly associated with strategies of information management that the discreditable use to pass for normal in everyday life. But not if you're somebody that's like, I'm being discriminated against. I should be able to be pass as white and treated as white because I'm a human. There's some famous people that did black fishing, whatever that is. Where is it for the white people? Okay, look at there. She went to Vassar College, and technically in the United States, no, she's not allowed because she had a drop of black blood in her. How dare she? They were saying, some of them were saying at the time, oh my goodness, for socioeconomic reasons. Yeah, she wanted to marry a white person that could take advantage of the laws of being white in America. Why not? Who would be like, I don't know. Well, I love this guy. I want to marry him because he's a poor sharecropper. Okay, I get it. But this stuff is all just as stupid as all get out. One picture in such a long thing. We'll just read this right here. Look, this is highlighted. There is no being behind doing, affecting, becoming. The doer is merely a fiction added to the deed. The deed is everything. Huh? That sounds pretty vague. What are we even looking at here? Oh, what? Okay, so this is one of those new ideas, I guess. I guess gender roles are something that are and achieve status in a social environment which implicitly and explicitly categorize people and therefore motivate social behaviors. Like most people don't have a baby boy and say, I wonder if this child will grow up and produce a baby out of its uterus. It's a boy. He doesn't have a uterus. They wouldn't think that until, was this 1990s? Who's this girl? She's all convinced hey, we need to study this third wave feminist queer theory and literary theory. Yeah, sure. And they did. So they did. It's a social construction. It was never thought of before, but somehow they made people think about it and they use this same old BS. The whole you are a blank slate. Oh, yeah, yeah. Thanks, Carl Rogers, Carl Jung, whichever one of you self actualizers is responsible for this nonsense. feminist theory. It's not Bible theory. It's not common sense. It's not rational. It's all of a sudden, I am as good a firefighter as anybody. Okay, prove it. No, I don't have to prove it, you man-splaying splayer. Huh. So they can do this. That's supposed to be a propaganda technique? A fly image at the bottom of a urinal has been proven to improve men's aim, leading to lowered cleaning costs. Do you think they have you studied? This was something there, a subtle hint to people to help them understand which way to vote. Vote yes. Vote yes. That's a nudge. Nudge theory's new. You like it? You heard about it? Concept in behavioral economics, decision making, behavioral policy, social psychology, consumer behavior, and their related sciences. The nudge from 2008. You might think it's that new. It's not that new. But everybody loves it. It is disputed whether nudge theory is a recent novel development in behavioral economics or merely a new term for one of many methods of influencing behavior. That's what they care about, influencing your behavior. Hey, I'm trying to influence your behavior by, hey, have you ever considered listening to that voice of Jesus that's calling you and said, maybe you should confess your sins? You can't help it. You will confess your sins and be forgiven. That's pretty much. Or if you were once a believer and then now you kind of went to Atlantis or whatever, UFOs, I don't know, and then you come back, yeah, God's a rewarder of those who diligently seek him, and reminding people that no, you were on the right track. That's good for everybody. I'm trying to nudge you in that direction. So we got this whole nudging, 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 so that automatic cognitive processes are triggered to favor the desired outcome. There. You knew that. You knew that, but it's probably good that we don't spend any more time looking for it. All right. Huh? This is from yesterday. These people have socialized very much. That's yesterday's. This guy had it all figured out.
This behavioral scientist who I really like called Gerge Gorenza, who says, look, we're kind of, obviously we're not fully rational creatures. We're imperfect. We make some bad decisions and we can be quite bad at processing information. But if you change how the information is presented, right, then you can really improve things. Now, a good example is like...
He's been doing this for years, for just over $100,000 a year. This is his job, so he should know. And so every now and then he'll get together at wherever, I think this was at Princeton, in a small room of people and say, aren't you glad that we've all made this money and we figured it out?
Probabilities. People are really bad at processing probabilities. If you ask like doctors questions about like false positives and false negatives in a test, how many people are going to end up having this disease, they get it wrong. If you switch to frequencies though, as in 1 in 100 instead of 0.01, people do much better. Something to do with frequencies are kind of how we encounter things, in our actual lives. Probabilities are a bit more abstract. So he's saying, we can improve people's decisions, but give them the information in the right way, in the proper way, right? So boost is an alternative. There's sludge.
Sludge, budge, ludge, drudge. I know, it's funny. Go.
Just one. It's the extreme end of a very large wedge, I think, because we've had the replication crisis. Again, this may well be something you've heard of. And in the 2010s, there was just this realization that a lot of the findings in psychology, especially, just couldn't be replicated. And again, it was kind of cutesy. A lot of it was very cute, right? Priming research.
Oh yeah, I thought it was really cute. You like to get lied to, people do. Here, we'll close it out with this on this guy.
Science. But it's not actually an answer to the question I raised at the start. So, this is the penultimate slide. I want to talk to you a little bit about our core approach. Now, it's one thing to get your statistics right, not to...
He could say this is the next to last slide, but penultimate. Who doesn't love that word?
To lie about your data, not to manipulate your data, to engage in proper statistical practices. But I do think that the way behavioral science might move on in the future is to move away from this kind of biases idea. So, as I've described throughout this, right, we had the sort of rational model in economics. And then there was this biases approach that was like, well, wait a minute, there are lots of deviations from the rational model. Now, the Wikipedia page on biases, I think, has 200 entries, right? And it's very reminiscent of kind of periods in science where there were so many exceptions to the rule that it all became a bit convoluted and actually...
So he's going to wrap it up by saying, this still needs a lot of study, folks. And I'm ready to get paid to study it for 10 more years if I have to. Cass Sunstein, that name rings a bell for many of you. Now, he wrote the book Nudge. He worked for the Barack Obama. University of Chicago, Bill Ayers, Bernadette Dornmuch, Harvard Law School. He loved Ayn Rand, and then she made him sick within a couple of weeks. All that mercilessness towards the people that are humanly frail, constant hammering on the moral evils of redistribution, charity, I guess. I wasn't really a fan either. But he worked for the Clintons too, going way back, say, professor of jurisprudence, and that really is a doctor of legal. That's their PhDs. And the university honored him in 1993, distinguished service. Well, that's when Hillary Clinton was starting to quote him when she was going to do something, reorganize healthcare. It's been going on, the same thing forever. Elements of Law, which was an introduction to legal reasoning, legal theory, and the interdisciplinary study of law and economics. And since that time, 92, 93, we had the 8 years of the Clinton. Was Bush really a super conservative? Then we had Obama, and then we had this whole nonsense of all of a sudden, wash your hands until they bleed. Women can be men, men can be women, and they should be in charge of the military because they've been held down for so long. This is going on in our life. This affects you. They're nudging you towards accepting this.
Certain economic truths have become accepted as self-evident. A second Bill of Rights, under which a new basis of security and prosperity can be established for all, regardless of station or race or creed. Among these are the right to a useful and remunerative job in the industries or shops or farms or mines, throughout the nation.
That's for all you slaves.
The right to earn enough to provide adequate
Just enough. Only enough.
food and clothing and recreation. The right of every farmer to raise and sell his products at a return which will give him and his family a decent living.
Decent. That will be defined by the government. Is that even a real bookcase behind him as he's giving this speech in 1944? Is that really FDR? Or is it Joe Biden with an auto pin?
The right of every businessman, large and small, to trade in an atmosphere of freedom, freedom from unfair competition and domination by monopolies at home or abroad. The right of every family to a decent home, the right to adequate medical care, and the opportunity
Man, that looks so dubbed and fake.
to achieve and enjoy good health. The right to adequate protection from the economic fears of old age, sickness, accident, and unemployment. The right to a good education. All of these rights spell security.
Good
Certainty-
enough education. As, you know, that's what we're looking for. What are you doing, Vara? What is going on in Finland? I thought you guys were surrounded by the Russians and going to be attacked.
I can't hear you. I can't hear anything. What the fuck?
Try to turn on your
Why can't
speaker.
I hear you?
I don't know. You gotta click your thing, man. Check your toolbar at the bottom and see if there's an X on your microphone or something.
Oh, man, your volume is so low. I can't hear anything.
My volume is
Wait.
low. My volume is go.
I don't know
Okay.
what's wrong. Let me try re-enter.
Huh. Is it low? I could. How about now?
Is that during those times of 2011 to 2016, this is post the 2008 financial crisis, the housing crisis, all of that stuff. For me, it made sense for me to begin building myself applications in the decentralized finance, the cryptocurrency, and Bitcoin space because I wasn't satisfied with the monetary systems, monetary policies, and the monetary legislation that we saw in the 2008 crisis and obviously moving up till now. And so I always considered myself building in the digital space as part of my sanctification. And what I mean by that is I am being active in my own salvation. I am trying to actively build better systems, products, platforms, technologies, and tools so that potentially my children would be able to use myself applications in the decentralized finance, the cryptocurrency, and Bitcoin space because I wasn't satisfied with the monetary systems, monetary policies, and the monetary legislation that we saw in the 2008 crisis and obviously moving up till now. And so I always considered myself building in the digital space as part of my sanctification. And what I mean by that is I am being active in my own salvation.
Wow. So there are a lot of people out there. And I wonder if Vara can hear me now.
No, it's perfect.
So you ever hear anybody actively admit that I have a wife and children and I want to be the best dad I can, and I think that's how I work out my salvation? That seems like, wow.
Fair enough. Yeah.
What'd you think?
Well, you know me, man. I don't have kids. I don't plan to have kids. I'm not really into the women thing anymore anyway. So I don't know, man. But I think based on what you said, sounds admirable. Yes, that's what he's going for, right?
What are you on a train?
Yeah. Is it loud? I can mute myself.
No, I can't even hear it. I can't even tell if you're moving. You look
Oh,
like you're parked.
yeah. Well, that's this.
Are you
It's not.
moving?
It's not a bullet train, but close. Yeah, we are moving.
Well, listen
Just
to
got
this
off
stuff
work.
here. I got some more stuff. What's
Let me
this?
see. Let me see.
Okay, so we had this prophecy the other day. I wanted to talk a little bit about the Native American church. Since 1993, it's been legal. While such use has been declared illegal without regard to race or tribal status in all United States other than Idaho and Texas, which have outlawed use by non natives, the purchase of peyote from licensed distributors can only be made via permit by enrolled tribal members who also must intend to use it for religious purposes only. Did you ever notice this kind of stuff was going on? I mean, honestly, I'm at the point in my life where all the it seems like it's a big deal in the world today, especially in the short season. What was Jesus doing? There's people that are totally pro uh, keep it illegal. Anybody that uses LSD, they're of Satan. And then there's myself, who, whether people like it or not, the whole biogeology and trying to figure out if the mountains were, if the stones are trees or if they were people. That came from an LSD induced vision by Do Re Mi, and the golden age passed. My channel that I made after one particularly vivid peyote experience was called Flat Earth Nation Golden Age Past. And I introduced the idea that the millennium's over. And, when you're an anti Trinitarian Bible believer, you don't get the mainstream with you. I'm going to mute his mic because that was just going on a little bit. I'll come back to you in un momento and we'll see if anything is going on. So there's this stuff that's going on. It's not that the Native Americans have anything figured out about the Bible. They do not. I've been there, I've seen that. They've adopted this. This may as well be what you're going to get without me in the Native American church. It's a feminine aspect. 16 types of sexuality in Native American churches. No, there weren't. There was not. This is all ISIS from China. It's the people that hate our guts because we recently screwed them over and their government has been doing nothing except preparing to take us over. Now, I just really want to talk about the Bible for un momento. Let's just talk about it. Is there a spirit of skill? Aaron's garments. It was a big deal. There was going to be the breast piece, an ephod, a robe, checkered work, turban, holy garments, gold, blue, purple, scarlet yarns, and fine twine linen. We've all seen the pictures. We know how they dressed in Jesus's time. We're trying to put it in. We know the spinning jenny and how what they can do with skillfully woven bands, like it would be of one piece, blue, gold, purple. Finely twined, you shall take 2 onyx stones, engrave them with the names of the sons of Israel, 6 of their names on one stone and the names of the remaining 6 on the other stone in the order of their birth. The jeweler, as a jeweler engraves signets, so shall all of that fine work. That's Bible time. That's where we are right now, also, because you're never outside what the Bible is doing. He made the breastpiece in skilled work in the style of the ephod. Square, folded over double, a span long and a span wide. These were wonderful stones. See what wonderful manner of stones. Now we're in the New Testament looking at their stones. This one stone, 4 times, a very strong root word. These stones could have been made bread. It's all the same stones. The stones are crying out. And I know that you can hear them, and you know that there is adrenochrome. It converts adrenaline into adrenochrome. They eat it because they think it's going to make them younger, more sexy, because they don't want to die. But it's true. The Pizzagate thing, it's all true. This is true. And they've nudged you in a direction of complicity where, you can get a good education, not a great education, not a true education. They're going to make sure you got a bill of rights to a paycheck to paycheck life. There you go. How do you like the fact that this bizarre controversy that was unfolding back in 2011, sure enough, Pepsi is getting boycotted because it's done nothing. It has done so using their new ingredients intended to enhance sweetness by using embryonic kidney cells that were originally taken from an aborted baby. So they clone them, grow them, put them in your food. And they act like they don't try to feed humans to humans. Everything's just super cool. Everything's going on normal in this world today.
That's old news, by the way, that Pepsi uses
Yeah.
whatever in their drinks. It's sick, man.
I can't believe it's like 15 years old now, Vara.
Yeah, I know.
I don't know what this is about. Michael Bay.
But you see, it's like all this stuff been coming out very slowly. But everybody's been talking about since 2010 or 12, whatever, conspiracy theorists, it's all coming out now in the mainstream.
And 2011 was after we had just gone through 3 years of a very hard economic crisis where people like me, I lost 1/3 of the value on my house. Everything just got cut in 1/3. And we're still doing that. Quantitative easing. So this here, Vara, is supposed to be the scene that makes men cry.
See?
It's a real man, is what they're trying to show. He's on the moon, on the asteroid.
Just tell Grace that I'll always be with her. Okay? Can you do that?
Predictive programming embedded with technology.
Okay, kid. Hey, Mr. Truman. Make sure Truman gets that. Get in here. It's my turn now. Larry! Larry! Get close to me! It's my girl! You go take care of my little girl now. That's your job.
Man, astronauts have the whitest teeth in the world.
Medical professional would say, well, you don't know that it was directly because of the vaccines. It could have been just this is their presentation. But this is where big data comes in, because if you're seeing more than what you would expect, big data should be able to flag that and make sure that we are not missing things, because it can be very difficult anecdotally to be sure whether or not something is the case. Certainly, I have seen blood pressure dysregulation after COVID infection as well. And so that would not surprise me as well. Vanda says, as many of the actions at the government and Medicam associations made no sense. I was retired, but my colleagues were threatened about taking the vaccine. There were no ifs or buts. And true, Vanda, without a shadow of a doubt, there was.
Wow. So, everybody, it's kind of loosened up on YouTube right now. And I want to be, like the first to take advantage of that new looseness and realize, and explain part of the reason that Flat Earth Nation Golden Age past is no longer here was because I was accused of giving false medical information. And so I had to start over with the mud flood was Armageddon. But what do I really believe? What is my own humble opinion? I think the vax is going to turn people into zombies unless you're actively, and I'm trying to nudge you right now towards what I believe in. It's only my opinion. You know, I should have never mentioned ivermectin according to them. Well, now we don't know. There's just a lot of things we didn't know. What we don't know now is books and books and books. I mean, a lot of people don't even know if President Bush or Trump was really shot in the ear or not, or if that was just some sort of a setup to nudge us in a, oh my goodness, look at that world wrestling type figure come out going like America. I think that
America.
I think that something with some people it could change them. It's affected them. Their whole DNA, mRNA is changed now forever.
Yeah, well, we don't know that, but it's pretty probable if you have BBC documentaries telling you right away, like, yes, this has this and this DNA and this and that. They don't talk about it though, but yeah, I mean, I've seen the changes in people early on. And of course, we had almost daily news of somebody died suddenly, somebody young and healthy and, whatever.
What I
But
would tell people is what I want to nudge them towards also believing is you can fix yourself. You can sweat, stretch, and eat organic. Use it, find the supplements that works right for each one of you because you only have to make it another 21 years. Now, all of this talk about the premillennialist, predomillennialism, which I taught and teach, but this whole thing, outstanding premillennialists, that's dispensationalists, were these people. And it's important for me to explain to you, Vara, and everybody else through talking to you that all of these people, you see, Clement of Andreas, the Bishop of Carthage, the Bishop of Tyre, Plutarch, the other ones, Ignatius, Polycarp, Josephus, that are writing in 1007. Really, really. And you guys call yourself people who believe in the short season and that mud flood was Armageddon? Then Josephus and all of these other people who were acting like, oh, yeah, Jerusalem got destroyed, but nobody else got judged in Armageddon when the judgment was on the whole world. Yeah, the Hebrews chose Barabbas and They did get it bad. It was an official divorce, you know, but some were saved. Some were saved. And all of those people that they read, you, oh, and this ancient one here who said, 60 years after Jesus died and John the Baptist, that wasn't the world then. It was reset world. It was being ruled with a rod of iron. People that were coming out of the mountains going, I'm glad that's over. But we also know that there were tares with the wheat. That's how this went down, everybody. Don't let them tell you anything else. Now, look, we just went through 4 years of this. And Trump is not going to be any better. It's not. They are behavioral moderating you, cognitively biasing you. And it's all coming back down to, ask RJ. He was there. This guy called me on the phone. He said, break it down for me. What does the Bible teach about the glittering sword? And he took it in a different direction, but the stones are crying out.
Plasma apocalypse and that sort of thing. And you can see that electrodes are burning this fractal shape. So this is very similar, identical, in fact, to what we see all over the Earth when looking from above on Google Earth, looking at they're known as Lichtenberg figures. So this is just volcanic activity. The volcanic ash is a wonderful conductor, and it leads to all these electrical storms. And then these are examples of Lichtenberg figures all across the Earth. And the biggest example of that would be the Grand Canyon. So they want us to believe that a river formed this, but when you think about this sort of thing, the idea is that these little tiny rivulets all had enough water going down, and then that formed this channel. And I no longer believe that that's the case. This is a photograph from the largest electrical storm ever seen. And again, imagine if there were 1,000 different volcanoes all doing this at the same time. Block out the sun, it would completely change our climate. There's so many things that would happen. This is Fresnel's lens. I'm not sure if that's how it's pronounced, but it's basically just a magnifying glass. And it's concentrating the light of the sun. And it will literally turn stone to glass in a matter of moments.
Oh yeah, that death ray is amazing.
Damn.
You don't want to put your finger in front of that.
So if we do live under a dome and the dome functioned like a magnifying glass and there was a major plasma storm,
I don't see how the dome would work like a magnifying glass if the sun is inside the dome.
Then you could sure melt a lot of stuff that way.
Damn. Yeah.
So
see, it's funny the way that guy keeps going, damn, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm just going to skip through these real quick because each one of these is a presentation in and of itself. But supernatural petrification, we talked about that. These different mythological stories that touch on things, Sodom and Gomorrah, people being turned to pillars of salt, glittering sword of God. These are examples of man-made petrification.
So let's if my memory serves me correctly, and it sometimes does, we'll be able to find the reference to the glittering sword here. Un momento. I'm just going to pop to it. I'm going to look for it right here. So these guys, they're going to get it, right? Something bad was going to happen here. So we got these silent stones, wooden. This is part of the thing here. Woe to him who builds a town with blood. I might be off by a chapter here. Okay. So here's what we get, this judgment coming, right? They're talking about in the midst of the years, revive it. God came from Teman, the Holy One from the Mount of Paran. Musical crescendo, his splendor covered the heavens. The earth was full of his praise. His brightness was like the light. Rays flashed from his hand, and there he veiled his power, because he could blow up the whole earth with one look, it would seem like to me. Before him went pestilence, that's always part of it, plague following in his heels. He stood, measured the earth, he looked, shook the nations. Then, this is when the eternal mountains were scattered and the everlasting hills sank low. His were the everlasting ways. So this visionary has seen the tents of Cushan in affliction, the curtains of the land of Midian are trembling. Was he mad against the rivers? No. Was he angry against the rivers? No. Was his indignation against the sea? These are rhetorical. So he stripped the sheath from his bow, calling for many arrows. Now, this is when the waters no longer flow to the sea. He had to split the earth with the rivers and the gorges. The mountains saw you and they withered. The raging mountains are sweeping on. The deep gives forth its voice. It lifted its hands on high. This was going on at that time of the Armageddon. The sun and the moon stood still in their place. At the light of your arrows, they sped. At the flash, there it is, the glittering spear. It's already been in there with the Barak. We'll see that. Okay, they're going out from the salvation of the anointed, threshing the nations in anger. This is basically what I'm telling you, the Armageddon situation here. So let's look at the glittering, the Barak, not Barack Obama. Stop that. Barak. The Barak is causing the shining, and it's a spear. You don't see it much, but you do it. Okay, lightning flashes, sharpening his glittering sword. Ooh, that's Deuteronomy. That's the song of Moses. When I sharpen, because he tells them, you can't serve the Lord. You guys, he saw the end from the beginning. It wasn't going to work. They were just so unfaithful all the time. If it wasn't for David, I would be like, wow, they're just so bad. And I'm saying that cautiously, but they're so bad. Lightnings. This is all about the lightning. And it's this one, right, that we're looking at. Nahum 3:3. That's another good one for that glittering sword, where during, metaphorically, really, God rode on the earth with chariots and then had to split the earth to make the rivers flow to the sea, because now all the rivers don't flow to the sea anymore. We got the B rock. It's shining. It's causing fractals, because I'm telling you, it's bright. It's bright. It's brighter than sunshine. And that's what the spark of those glittering swords that was going on in that day. So basically, that's about where I want to wrap it up. Looks like we got Vara's off the train now. So
Yeah, I got 2 miles to walk home, but it's getting warm actually now. It's a nice weather. Spring is coming.
yeah, it won't be long. We had some snow today and it's gone. It's already gone. So there you have it. There's a lot to digest, everyone. Everyone's trying to nudge you some way. I am definitely trying to nudge you towards hitting your knees, confessing that Jesus Christ is the way, the truth, and the life. And it's important to know that you live on a flat earth nation with the golden age past and everything that entails. That if the mud flood was Armageddon, then there was that 1,000-year reign. And after the 1,000-year reign, there's another judgment, a reaping. Two angels, one for the good, one for the bad. And then now we live in that orphan train reset situation. But there's still another judgment, the Gog and Magog, where Blessed some will be rescued by fire, but others of us will be encompassed about, not taking part, rejecting the conditioning of dispensationalism, globe earthism, and all of the other main road Christianity nightmares, nudging you towards the complacency of a week to week, paycheck to paycheck lifestyle. Doesn't have to be that way. Not on this flat earth nation with its golden age past. And that's why me and my friends are never going to tell you anything else. We're trying to prove we have your best interest at heart. Amen. Hallelujah. Aho. Aloha. Arrivederci. Ciao. Sayonara. Auf Wiedersehen. Nakame. That
Nakaman.
and adios. That's my new favorite way of saying goodbye.